Hope Hollow involves providing lodging and food and transportation costs, primarily gasoline. But the other very important part of Hope Hollow, and sometimes I think for some families it's probably even more important than the practical needs of shelter, food, transportation, is the emotional support. And I don't think we ever imagined that we would again be privileged to be a part of the emotional journey with people who are struggling with cancer and or their families who are struggling with their loved one's cancer.
Jane and Kevin were working with a family, and it was a young girl, and she, all she was hungry for was her mom's homemade potato soup because she wasn't feeling well, she was going through treatment, and she just wanted that comfort food. And of course, they're not near a kitchen, they're staying here from out of town, so the mother hand wrote the recipe, gave it to Jane, and she cooked the potato soup.
3,000 years ago, there was a traveling couple, and there was no room at the inn for them. And we look at Kevin and Jane as the inn. They invite you in, and they give you a bowl of soup. I called the doctor's office. I put him on speakerphone, and that's when we heard the news that she was positive for lymphoma, a non-Hodgkin's type. The news of hearing, you know, you're 22, it was a shock. And so we hung up, and you hug and you embrace the truth. So when we first met Kevin and Jane, they wanted us to stay at Hope Hollow, but their house wasn't finished. They weren't ready for guests, but they wanted to help us, but they helped us in other ways. And so with lodging, we had to stay, and with food and breakfast, and she called every day. How are you doing? Do you have plenty to eat? Do you need anything? And I think her first question was always, how is Sarah? We like to think of people that are loving and warm as being a big teddy bear. And Jane's kind of like a big teddy bear. She's a shoulder, she's a strength. But she's really more like a warm blanket. And she makes you feel loved.
When someone is struggling with cancer, I think you just love them and let them know that they're not on that journey alone. Even though you're not walking the same walk exactly, you can still walk the walk with them.
Well, Yvette knew before the rest of us. She was having some issues with her breast, and it was right around Thanksgiving when she noticed it. And so she put off until after the first of the year. She didn't want to ruin the holidays. The first visit, they thought about doing a mastectomy, possibly a double mastectomy. And it was pretty hard on her. I'm sure it will be for anyone. When he called us back 2 weeks later, he said that she would get to die with her breast because it's gotten to her bones, and it's much worse, excuse me, much worse than thought. Over the last 6 years, I was a truck driver, and I couldn't be going. I had to be home with my wife. So I quit driving, and financially, you know, it was hard. Kevin and Jane, first they prayed for me and prayed for Yvette. Then they asked if they could do anything to help, and that they wanted to help, and it wouldn't take no for an answer. And when you're hungry and you know your kids are hungry, and you're an hour from home, like I said, I was a man provided for my family. When you can't take care of your family, and someone reaches out, I don't care if it's $5. That means a lot. It really means a lot. Kevin and Jane was a gift from God. Hope Hollow was a gift from God. I believe that every ounce of my being.
Hope Hollow has, you know, it has been a truly amazing journey for Jane and I on on so many different levels. The families that we've had contact with, it's been a gift.
I became ill with a form of cancer about 18 months ago, and I was initially diagnosed and so forth in a hospital and facility in Cincinnati. However, it quickly became clear that the best place for me to be for the main part of my care was at the James Hospital here at Ohio State. Although we lived only in Cincinnati, 2 hours away, there was a lot of time where not only I needed to stay overnight here, but Amy needed to stay overnight as well.
So when all of this started, I was trying to figure out where we could stay and where we could live, because we really didn't have the financial means. So I just started looking stuff up and came across Hope Hollow. It's just a nice place to be. You know, you feel like you're at home, and you don't feel quite so isolated. You know, when we got the most recent bad news, we came back here and Andrew took a nap and I tried, but I just, despite having a few hours of sleep, I couldn't sleep. And Jane and I just talked. And some people just aren't support group people. One-on-one seems to be more of a fit for Andrew and I, and Jane and Kevin are a really good fit for that. This last diagnosis was just devastating. And I don't know if I would have maintained composure if Jane hadn't been around.
My journey with breast cancer has been one that was absolutely terrifying. My first chemo treatment was going to involve a 3-day period of getting my port placed, getting all my start-based scans done. And so my husband and I had planned on just staying in a hotel. It was beginning of December, Christmas was coming, things were kind of tight. We were overwhelmed already with medical bills, and a social worker from the James talked to me, and she mentioned Hope Hollow to me, which led to a phone call that I received from Kevin. And they had decided that they would love for us to come and stay with them, and which was an overwhelming thought. I had never met them. They were incredible on the phone. And we just jumped on the opportunity. I thought, you know, I just want to save every bit of money I can for the kids for Christmas. And so there was a lot of anxiety coming into driving up to these people's home that we had never met before. It's been incredible from the moment they met me at the door. We stayed for 3 days. I'll say that on that second night, I had been at the James all day, getting all my scans. Jane and Kevin had planned to take us out to dinner that evening because the next day we were going to be starting chemo. And that evening, Chris and I came upstairs to get ready. It was about 5 or 5:30 in the evening, and I got a phone call from my oncologist. And she said, "Jenny, I hate to tell you any of this, considering, you know, where we were at and everything." She said, "But your scans today showed 2 places, one on your liver and one on your pancreas. And I don't really know what they are yet, but we can't start chemo tomorrow." So I was trying to talk to Chris about it, and I was so distraught, and I was sitting here on this bed in this very room, and I think we were just in silence, and all I could think of was, I need to go talk to Jane. I need to go downstairs. I mean, I had known this woman for all of 24 hours, and all I wanted was that I knew that she could get me through this. And I went straight downstairs and was speaking to her and Kevin and explained everything, and Jane just literally physically held me and just provided more support than I probably, she'll never know what that meant to me. The next day we went in and did the MRI, and I woke up really feeling positive about it. And I'm like, it is what it is. It's no matter what this is, I can handle it. And we did the MRIs, and I remember Dr. Reinbold coming to find me in the lunchroom of Stephanie Spielman, just smiling as she was walking up to me. She said, "They're not tumors. They are something completely different, and chemo is waiting for you upstairs." I told him you'd be there in 5 minutes. So it was the best feeling in the world. The first person other than my husband that I called was Jane. The worst moment in my entire life happened in this room. The most terrifying thing I could have ever heard. But that should really tell you a whole lot about who Jane and Kevin are, because I don't associate that with this room. What I associate with this room is peacefulness, kindness, and filled with love. Even though I remember and I can relive that exact moment sitting on this bed, jaw dropped, hearing that news. But that's not what I think of when I come in here. I think of like fun times and being in this room and looking out this window at this incredible view. Going downstairs in the warmth of the family room with hearing the laughter of Kevin. I remember last time I was here and I was getting ready and all I could hear was Kevin laughing downstairs. He had done something to Jane, but if you've ever heard Kevin's laugh, he was laughing so hard and so loud that I didn't know what he was laughing at, but I was in tears laughing so hard up here because I couldn't, and he couldn't stop, and neither could I, and I knew nothing of what was going on. But it's just infectious. Like, that laugh is so infectious. It is wonderful. Those are the things that I feel in this room. I feel like nothing could make me feel more at peace than being here.
I met Jane. Actually, I'll tell you when it was. It was December 2nd, 1980. And I came to her class. She was teaching at Bishop Watterson High School here in Columbus, Ohio. And I came as a guest speaker. So then it was just a lot of stalking after that. And then I chased her till she caught me.
My story in relation to Hope Hollow begins really when I was 10 years old. And my mother died of pancreatic cancer. So I grew up with people I love struggling with the disease of cancer. And I always knew, in the back of my mind and heart, I just thought someday I would probably be facing cancer. And I did, and I have.
It's obviously very devastating and very scary, and the roller coaster ride is that's just awful. But we both have a very strong faith. I have a tremendous amount of confidence in the healthcare providers that we have in our town. And everything that we were hearing when it came to early detection, very positive treatment, that there would be very good prognosis. And I just, I believed that, and I prayed for that, and we were very blessed to have that.
It was probably about 2 years, and my tests were coming back showing no cancer. And I said to Kevin, I'm so grateful for my life. I just don't know how to live the gratitude. I feel so much gratitude, and I pray it every day, and I thank God every day, but I just have to find a really concrete way to live it. And Kevin said, God bless him, he was so wonderful. He goes, well, how do we do it?
They give of themselves. And Jane always says Hope Hollow is living the gratitude, and you get that from her. She is, and so is Kevin, but they just are so generous and gracious.
And they have a tremendous personal interest in all the people that they work with, and they develop that. I mean, no matter who they are, and as they did with us, with me and with Amy, they really took us under their wing, and just offering friendship as well as hospitality.
I'm very grateful for Kevin and Jane. I'm grateful for their kindness, but I'm more grateful for their spirit.
Kevin makes me laugh harder than anybody. Just so much fun, so full of life, so full of love, such peace that I am given every time I see them. When I walked in this morning, I said, I'm home. That's what it feels like.